Hello my friends and welcome to another stream of Adobe Live. I have the very awesome Michael Olaye. How you doing, Michael?
Nice to meet you.
Yeah,
very
good.
Well. Thanks for the invite.
Of course, it's good to have you here. So yeah, there's a lot happening today. D&AD is amazing. We want to get an insight into who you are and what you're about. Would you like to tell the lovely folks at home a bit about yourself, about who you are?
Sure. Michael Olaye, SVP MD at RGA, based in the US. Live in LA at the moment, but run across RGA on a global level. Kind of supporting across strategy, innovation. It could be anything from kind of products, services, to basically just looking at strategy, how we operate. So yeah, it's a great role, great company, and having a good time actually.
Yeah, and I know a lot of the stuff as well you do is based on like side hustles as well, which I think would be quite cool to touch on. I mean, for anyone, the beauty of Adobe Live is that we have a range of students, graduates, all walks of life that will tune in. Have you got any maybe tips or advice for those who want to do these sort of side hustles in terms of like starting out of how you're going to go about putting this into practice?
Yeah, I think everyone needs a side hustle of some sort, especially if you're in a mundane or repetitive job, whether it's creative or not. It's always good to learn or try new things on the side. So I always say find someone else that has a similar passion.
Nice.
Your side hustles are much more exciting if it's just more than you.
Of course.
If you're a designer and you're thinking about product, find a technologist. If you're a technologist and you're thinking about product, find a data specialist. Just find people that have different perspectives on the thing your side hustle actually goes a long way.
And it's almost like utilising the skill sets as well. So both, I won't say parties, but in both parties in a way, but kind of in a sense where they can kind of collaborate, they can integrate with one another's skill sets, so you can kind of create the best deliverable possible.
And I mean, most side hustles will start as an individual thing, but at some point you want to make it tangible.
Yeah.
And it's always good to work or collaborate with other people that can bring new skills to make it more tangible.
Nice. And I can see how it's silly of me to not even give any love to the chat. I can see our lovely folks coming in. Hi to Tony, Olivia, Doris, and Sandrine, Joanna. Massive welcome. As always, any questions you lovely folks will have, get us in the chat and I'll make sure I'll share them with Michael as well. So yeah, jumping back into a bit about what you do and about the work that you produce as well. Is there anything that you are working on now, or anything that you've done that you think would be quite nice to discuss in terms of like projects?
I mean, we're always doing great work at RGA. It's a hard one to pick one. I've got some favorites.
On the spot there.
We did some awesome work with American Express. I think it was 2021 where we helped them launch. I know NFTs are not being spoken about now, but it was quite important for them. We basically moved a lot of the physical things they were doing pre-pandemic into a digital sphere.
Okay.
So it was basically, I think it was Shiza and a few other musicians actually doing a live show.
Sick. Okay.
Through a tool and a platform we helped
nice.
create with an NFT support on the side of it for people who are interested in collecting that. So that was really cool. We did some great work with Verizon, I think last summer, in the metaverse space. And again, I know a lot of people say metaverse is dead. It's not dead. It's just taking a break. Just taking a break.
I like that.
It's
not dead, my friends. It's not dead.
So yeah, we've done some great work in that space. And then just generally, our product jobs are pretty hardcore. So we just there's a lot of products we launched that we don't really talk about because for whatever reason we can't.
Sure.
But like Brodesco is a bank we helped launch in Brazil a couple of years ago. It's a bank for like the millenniums. It's a bank that's built for people who in a country don't have much access to the banking system. People cash and pay by checks from the post office.
Okay.
So we actually helped them build a bank from the ground up.
Wow, okay.
That helps,
that learning curve of just
that generation basically be able to bank digitally. And we don't really scream about it because we build, we really like effective and functional stuff. So we build it, we test it, and it just kind of disappears into the ether. Yeah. But it's still there.
And it's active, but you don't have to make it into a song and dance.
Exactly. So there's a ton of work coming out of RG across the London office is doing amazing work. Asia office is doing amazing work. Australia is killing it at the moment. US is killing it. South America is killing it. So it's good.
Nice. Good. So on that topic of amazing work, it'd be wrong of us not even touch about the D&AD judging, because of course you're doing that as well for this year. So in particular, the most creative side hustles. Am I right in saying? So obviously certain things you can't say because we'll keep it a surprise, of course, for you lovely folks. But how's the experience been so far for you in this judging space?
It's been a good intense. I think there's been a lot of amazing entries. All of us judging we had to do a couple of revisits to things that we either said no to or yes to, just because the quality is so good. And there's like 2 or 3 in there that just stand out, basically. And looking forward to seeing the teams present tomorrow.
Nice.
Yes, which is why I'm not going to give anything away by telling you what my favorite is. But we're going to.
You got favorites already? Yeah. I don't even say no.
Of course. I think that being human, you have to have a favorite. There's either an emotional connection or a functional connection. Something connects you to one of the side hustles. But generally, the quality has been amazing.
Nice. And I know as well, because I mean, I've had a chance to do a bit of judging before, but for anyone who's quite, especially new to the D&AD space, you know, this is an amazing thing because you get a chance to obviously meet and collaborate with other creatives, right, and other professionals in the field. In terms of that experience, you know, working with other creatives such as yourselves, how's that been in itself? Because again, it's almost like a pot of various people from different communities, different, you know, all around the world. How's that been as an experience, separate to the work itself?
I think it's exciting. I mean, I've done D&AD judging before, so it's always good to see other professionals bring a completely different perspective to the work. So like I'm looking at the work specifically sometimes from a technology angle, or I'm looking at it from a product angle, and I'm like, yeah, that's an amazing piece of work. And then you talk to like a storyteller who's just pure creative, and they completely change your mind because they say or say things that you don't, and vice versa. Sometimes they pick work and then I go, no, but that isn't really as innovative as you think it is because it was done 4 years ago. And so it's really good to be across and share and have open discussions and debates, and then come to a consensus where everybody almost agrees that the top of the top, or the creme of the creme.
Of course, I get that.
Is all good quality.
Nice. So. And what you lovely folks, of course, can't see from our VR is that behind us, or behind you, camera, you know what I mean? There's a lot of amazing work, a lot of folks doing their thing. So I mean, even being in a space like this is it's overwhelming, but in a nice way, you know, because you're kind of digesting a lot of content, a lot of information, and obviously getting amazed by the vibe itself, right? The energy of Adobe Live and D&AD.
I mean, you know, I'm a bit of the old generation, so for me, I'm probably be like, it's intense. But I think looking at people's faces here, they're loving it. I mean, the talks are great. There's good work out there. There's good networking. We've all been indoors during the pandemic for a while.
We're done with that now. We want to be out, right?
Exactly. So coming here, I was like, I'm going to see lots of faces I know. Actually, I don't know many people, which is great. To see new talent coming into the industry. And I think, you know, with where the world's going now with technology and all the stuff we keep talking about, Web3, AI, all that stuff, I think it's great to see all of that in one space, and I'm looking forward to seeing what tomorrow will bring, and Thursday as well.
Actually, I mean, there's a few questions are kind of coming in my head whilst we're talking, because I feel like we're going through this space. But one key word, obviously, this technology and this AI thing, again, for anyone who hasn't been to the D&AD space before, there's a lot of these things happening. How do you kind of see the way of the industry kind of going down this path, obviously more AI, more technology, which is a very bold question, I know. But do you see it within 20 minutes? How long do you?
It's an easy answer.
Okay, short and sweet. I like it.
The way the internet or the World Wide Web, or whatever we want to call it today, it's always been built on these innovative cycles. They tend to come quite abruptly. They tend to disrupt, then kind of upsets everyone, and then it settles down. I think I'm sure you're aware there's a lot of prompt jobs coming up, AI prompters are the next thing. And they're still creative minded. In fact, I truly believe that AI won't really affect creative as we think it is. I think it will affect more like finance, production,
that's interesting.
Coding, because those are task-driven jobs. I think creative jobs, I think it'll be more of an assistant. So think of Iron Man. I
love Iron Man.
So the way he talked to Jarvis.
I hear that.
That's how I picture it. Jarvis cuts out the heavy lifting. Jarvis cuts out the grunt. I think AI will cut out the grunt from creative people, whether that's a creative from a strategic point of view, or if a strategy is trying to find more information, or if it's just a creative wanting to know how something works technically to be able to come up with an idea. You no longer have to go through the trenches to do that. You can just have a tool or an assistant that can just help you. So AI prompters, if you're not doing that job or you're looking for a new role, please go and start learning about AI prompting, because there's going to be the next crew of kids coming through. They're all going to be AI prompters, and don't dismiss the technology.
I've got to ask, Mark, you're not making like a Jarvis in your basement or anything? I feel like you've got like a robot in the back. Nah?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not. But I mean, I was watching on LinkedIn, I actually posted this morning, there's a great video. Someone's actually done, it's not Jarvis, but it's very similar. He's got glasses, he's reading or seeing imagery, and then asking ChatGPT to explain the imagery. So he's not having to verbally talk or type. He's just looking at stuff. And the ChatGPT is able to see what he's looking at and then explain
It's insane, right? It's awesome, but yeah.
I think I mean we have personal AI assistants.
Sure.
Have Alexa.
Sure. Yeah.
We have Google. I mean, we've been doing AI for a while now. Got Teslas. So I don't think we should be too scared.
It's how we have that. It's interesting hearing your perspective, because again, with our previous stream and even the beautiful streams that we've got kind of coming up, it's always interesting, even from a hosting perspective, hearing how other folks interpret, what it's going to be like in terms of, just from their perspective as well. And that's interesting, because usually it can be sometimes quite negative, depending on how you look at it. But I understand where you're coming from in terms of that assistant. It's almost like that help that will guide us, but not necessarily take us there. It's you know what I mean?
I remember the days of banners. You
Yeah.
have lots of designers and lots of coders. In fact, it was designers first making banners in Flash,
Yeah.
and then the coders came and did
first,
HTML5, and then programmatic buying came out. That was AI, it was automated, and you could do creative on the fly on the server. So yes, it is scary to see your jobs like being threatened, but I do think it brings new opportunities to be creative,
Sure.
and brings new types of creativity to do that we're just not thinking about now. And wait till quantum computing comes along as
And
well.
there's a whole different...
So, which is why I keep saying the metaverse is not dead, it's just resting, because
Sure.
AI, metaverse, Web3, those three working together, you get some cool stuff happening in probably 5-10 years.
I saw someone's comment actually, and I apologise who it was, but it mentioned about the idea it's like metaverse 2.0. It's basically a computer with legs running around. But like you said, it's the adaptment and things how evolve as well. So on that topic as well, it'd be great to know, because we've covered quite a lot of different things in this 90 minutes of this going kind of crazy. If you can make D&AD theme is all about making change, as we know. That's why we're here today. This idea of making change, if there was one thing, which is a bold question, or several, change that you can make within your industry, what would you like to see changed?
That's a really, really hard question.
So I love a curveball occasionally. I apologise.
I like giving people opportunities. So I think we need more variety from different parts of the world coming into our industry. I do truly believe that.
Cool.
I think when we have, creative is such a broad word, but when you have, mechanics or scientists or, we've had a lot of behavior science come into our world the last 10 years. So that really made a massive change to how we did things. And I think especially as AI becomes more of a thing, we'll have different specialists. We should embrace them as they come in. So if there's one thing I would like to see, well, not change, but keep happening, is our openness to embrace new thinking.
I like that.
I think that's always allowed us to really use whatever's happening in the world to make massive quick changes on our side. We're creative, we've always done that.
Sure.
So, and I think that's something I would like to see.
Just on that, do you feel like, because it's interesting, you said a lot of things there, and one thing, like this idea of being acceptance to change, is it because sometimes as well you can almost get set in your kind of comfort ways, or it's more, depending on like agency world, culture, or anything like that, it's more, well, if it works for us now, why change it? But then actually, if you find a different route, who knows what that potentially could have done, or who could potentially benefit more so? Do you feel like there is a comfort element that comes to it as well?
I think in our industry there's always an either or, or and or, but actually it should be a with.
Yeah, I like that. Okay.
So
more positive as well.
Yeah, I mean, people say, Flash is making X not work, and then before that it was Director Lingo was making Quark not work, and before that it was Photoshop not making fireworks. Yeah, it's always been like this. I'm on that school or that school. It's Netscape or it's Internet Explorer, it's Mac or it's PC. And I think we are at a place now where technology doesn't care anymore.
Sure.
It doesn't care whether you're on a Mac, it doesn't care whether you're on a PC. It just cares, can you give me the right input and I give you the right output.
I like that.
And that could be creative, it could be data, it could be whatever. So I think the younger newer generation don't have that. I mean, I see a lot of kids who just experiment. I've seen musicians plug guitars into PCs and generate sound through vision and
see what can kind of come from it.
I don't think anyone's caring too much about whether or not they're sitting on a Mac or PC. I think they're just caring about the software and what you can do.
It's definitely a thing though. Sometimes you might go to your occasional, obviously being in East London based as well, you go to a coffee shop, you're going to see a few glowing apples laying around, but it's interesting when you say that idea of that embracement of actually understanding, and I don't know, it depends on different generations, but I always feel like even with students as well and universities, maybe the idea of being surrounded by other people from different levels, that in itself is another form of being embracement, because you're having to adapt and be flexible with other people to work with, and obviously by default you're learning from other people, which I think it's another nice way of seeing it as well.
Yeah, and many people from our industry have gone to work for actual manufacturing brands. They've gone to work for mechanical brands, technology brands. So, and they've learned a lot of stuff and they've brought that back with them. So some of the approaches we have evolved over the last 5 years because we have a lot of outside knowledge coming back in, and hopefully we can see more of that happening across. We know in-housing is big now,
Yeah, true.
There's a lot of mixture there creatively as well. So no, I think it's good. I think not fear, just being aware of how the change can disrupt you and then upskilling yourself to be ready for that disruption is a good start.
I like that. If I ever go into battle, I'm taking you as my wingman because I feel like
I'll be behind you, swinging above your head.
Just in case it goes a little bit off road. Yeah. I love that. And actually, I saw a comment in there, and again, my eyes are really rubbish. I apologise. Which said about the idea of if I'm nice to technology is nice to me. But it's in that kind of realm, isn't it, of idea of embracement. Have an understanding of it, and it's okay if you're unsure as well of the understanding, because there's a lot of things out there, right? Or even in today with the D&AD, there's a lot of things out there which we might not understand, but it's taking that moment to actually maybe learn about it, to then not fear it. Yeah. Does that make sense? I know that's a thing, but yeah.
I mean, I'm not a traditional creative in the sense. I'm more on the technology side, but I have worked with creatives in my career, and usually there's like the canvas, and then there's like the channel or the output. So there's like these two things. So I've always, from my angle, always said, right. There's a canvas you're creating stuff on, and there's a channel where everyone else is seeing it. So if you look at technology that way today, that's kind of what it is. Whether it's AI, whether it's programmatic, whether it's HTML or coding, it doesn't matter. There's like a canvas you use to create your thinking, and then there's like somewhere you put it out for people to see.
Yeah, but I love that. It's the logical route, but I get what you mean from the technology perspective. Yeah. It's interesting. Actually, something which we didn't really touch on, which we kind of touched on a lot of things, but with this idea of technology and social media maybe going into that space, with mental well-being and sense of control as well with what we do you feel like that is something that is talked about maybe more of nowadays, or the idea of maybe overconsumption of things that's there to help us, but also how much do we take of it without it crossing that line? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a personal opinion because it's such a diverse...
It is.
I mean, we're clustering, but in essence, every technology ever invented was either done with a positive thinking, but the output ended up being not positive.
Not what it wanted, yeah.
So I think the technology is not the bad thing necessarily, well, except for advanced AI, but that's a completely different.
That's another stream for the next
topic. But technology generally is a neutral thing. It's the person who's, it's like the atomic bomb or anything. It's like the person who creates it can use it for good or for bad.
Sure.
So when we talk about creativity, using it to educate, using it to service, using it to provide emotional pleasure, those are the positive things. Misinformation,
that's where it gets
trickery, dopamine hits on that's the bad thing. But I think humanity is still quite early in this technology phase.
Yeah. Okay.
We're
still baby stages of.
How long has social media been out? We're still in the early phases, and we're creating rules and regulations. I know in the US, there's laws now that are actually legally banning social media companies from allowing anyone over 13 to register without parents or credit cards. So I think we like to talk about a lot of negative stuff.
Sure.
But there's positive stuff happening as well, and we have to balance the two. If not, technology becomes this like scary thing.
And to be fair, I mean, the irony is obviously you lovely folks are watching it via your streams, whether it's on YouTube or not, so you're in the right place, and this is all very positive to stream, I'm sure. So just to kind of wrap up, because we're in that minute moment, which is, again, things go super quick when you're having a good discussion. Is there anything you kind of want to end on in terms of like, well, first and first, how do folks know about yourself? In terms of like following up via social media, website, how would you, for anyone else to know?
I'm on LinkedIn, Michael Olaye. I'm also on Twitter as Magic Tuscan. That's MAGICTUSCAN.
Cool.
So yeah, feel free to follow me. I'm on a few other channels, but I think if you go to the LinkedIn, you can find the links to all.
It's the inception of social media links. Michael, it's been a pleasure, buddy, to have you on our stream. Thank you so much. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Oh, it's been great.
Yeah, and you're looking forward to the rest of the days? For the rest of the days on Adobe Live?
Yes. I'm a little bit different time zone, but I'm hanging in there.
You made it, and it was strong. Yeah. And of course, to lovely folks, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back shortly with another stream. So until then, stay tight, and thank you for joining us. Ciao.